All right, welcome Cryptor Global community. Cryptor Global and Bitcoin Brandon present a new day of information in the cryptocurrency space for all of you business owners, you CEOs, you big time investors. Why should you even be involved in Bitcoin and crypto in the first place? Why should you have your business adopting technology in this space? So, what I'm going to be doing today is covering what other investors are doing in this space. Here's a new article that just came out where Michael Saylor says Bitcoin will be bigger than Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. And only 1% of investors understand why. So when I see only 1% of investors understand why, I see opportunity. Most don't even know that this is taking place, which means you have a competitive advantage in moving into this space as fast as possible. MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor is explaining why he and his company have bought hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. In a new interview on CNBC's Fast Money, Saylor explains why he believes Bitcoin is vastly superior to gold and is currently the best safe haven treasury reserve asset on Earth. The story here is due to the rapid expansion of the monetary supply by the central banks. The cost to capital has tripled from 5 to 15% over the past year. And if we look out over the next 4 years, bond coupons and APS growth rates are going to need to exceed that hurdle in order to preserve wealth. We had $500 million worth of cash, but we knew we were going to generate another $500 million worth of cash, and we realized if we held it in cash, it was going to debase by 10 to 15% a year. And I didn't want to lose half of it. So what isn't so well understood is that BTC Bitcoin is the best safe haven treasury reserve asset in the world right now, and it's engineered to be superior to gold in all aspects. So that being the case, a lot of people understand the asset story of Bitcoin. It's up 100% annually each year for the past decade, more or less. What they don't understand is that Bitcoin is a monetary network, and as a monetary network is capable of storing and channeling energy over time without power loss. So we got really excited about this idea, and we saw it as a solution for the store of value problem, not just for the $300 trillion of capital in the world, but for the 7.5 billion people on the planet. And let me stop there 1 second because you must wrap your head around this. 7.5 billion people on the planet. Global world capital, 300 trillion. Cryptocurrency's current market cap is $500 billion, not even on the radar screen yet. But if all of these businesses, money, and governments decide to save their capital, to use Bitcoin as a store of value, or as Saylor says, a good reserve asset, safe storage, to avoid monetary inflation, what do you think is going to happen to the price? There are more millionaires and billionaires on the planet today than there are Bitcoin, and there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence. It's going to be a mad rush for you to get your hands on Bitcoin. That is why a lot of institutions now have a monthly budget of doing nothing but buying and holding Bitcoin. So classic concerns about Bitcoin are overblown, and its volatility will dwindle over time, says Saylor. He says it's taking time for investors to truly understand Bitcoin's value proposition. But in the long run, he thinks Bitcoin will be larger than the biggest companies on Earth, including Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. The traditional concerns. Testing. Yeah, okay, I'll make sure I'm still recording here. The traditional concerns about Bitcoin are that it might be hacked, it might be copied, it might be banned, and after a decade it hasn't been hacked, no one's managed to copy it, it's not going to be banned. So although people look at it as being volatile, it's volatile maybe in the first decade. The next decade going forward, it doesn't look like it's going to be that volatile. It actually looks like it's emerging as a primary treasury reserve asset for people that are looking for some way to avoid the great monetary inflation. The great monetary inflation. I think that as investors, to start to understand that the Bitcoin story, they're going to migrate their capital onto the Bitcoin network. And that's going to create a virtuous cycle of adoption, followed by appreciation, followed by accretion, followed by technology innovation. You see, Square and PayPal, it'll be Apple and Google shortly. That's going to drive more adoption, and that means that you really want to plug your company into the Bitcoin monetary network. It's probably the biggest thing that's happened over the last decade. It's going to be bigger than the FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google stocks. It's going to be bigger than Apple, Amazon, Facebook, the social networks. And it's the ideal time to plug into it because 99% of investors don't understand what I just said. And with $350 billion of monetary energy in the Bitcoin network, it's all but unstoppable at this point. So either you're going to be Netflix or you're going to be Blockbuster. You decide. Until next time, Cryptor Global and Brandon Ivy, Bitcoin Brandon. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.